I'm joined by Team CRC Mavic manager Nigel Page to chat about the season so far and his hopes for the final round of the Enduro World Series. So, Nigel, how has it gone so far?
Yeah, well, currently it's gone better than it started off at the beginning of the season. Coming off two World Championships with Sam Hill, it's always going to be tough, for a third title hope. But that was the plan. Sam likes to try and win whatever he's racing, and that's always his goal. Start of the season was in um, Rotorua and Tasmania. And unfortunately, after putting in the biggest off-season effort with his training, Sam come into the race pretty ready and hungry to try and get after that third title, but he ended up getting sick the week we were in New Zealand before the race, um, and that seemed to really affect him. He struggled really bad the first race, and he was riding well, but he just had no sort of energy and no strength when he was
Yeah.
riding. So it cost him some points there. He ended up quite further down the rankings than he usually would be. And then the week after, we went over to Tasmania, and he still wasn't feeling so great there. And did a little bit better, but still wasn't up to speed on where he would normally be. Obviously, that can affect people both physically and mentally because Sam put a lot of effort into them two races being sick, which actually kind of really got him down physically. And then we had a bit of a break between them two races before Madeira. Um, but he went back home, saw the doctor, had some blood tests and stuff to see why he still wasn't feeling great. But the blood test said there was nothing, seriously wrong with him. He just needed some time to recover. So he kind of rested between there and Madeira. At that stage, I sort of suggested to Sam that while he was back home, and if he was able to get out riding at all, he should maybe just make this opportunity a time to try out our Mega 290 bike. So he did that. He rode that on a couple of his local trails. Didn't feel great on it, but when he sort of looked on the times he was putting down, he was consistently a couple of seconds faster on his trails. So I guess with the uncertainty of where his actual speed was with being ill at the first two rounds, and obviously it was a new season, and other people have trained harder over the winter, and trying to beat him.
Yeah.
He decided he would give Madeira a go on the Mega 290. So um, that went pretty well. Obviously, he hadn't had a lot of time on the bike, so throughout practice in Madeira, he was constantly, just trying to get his setup dialed on that bike, and ended up with a fifth there, which was his best result so far this year. But again, he was riding well, but tell he'd lost a lot of fitness with being ill, and he was having little crashes and mistakes that Sam doesn't normally have, and I think I put that down to just not having strength to race at the highest level and ride as fast as he rides. It
Yeah.
needs a lot of strength within yourself to actually hold onto the bike and push that hard.
And mentally, where was he at during Madeira, do you think?
Mentally, it's hard to know with Sam because he's always pretty positive on how he's going to do. But I don't care who you are. If you're not winning, obviously that does mess with your head a little bit
Hmm.
because obviously he's going to be trying his hardest no matter what. Um, but there was a few things that he liked about the 29er bike and a few things that he preferred on the 275. So trying to get the bike set up so it felt more like the what he was used to on the 275 Mega, but with the big wheels. So
Yep.
that was a bit of a challenge. Obviously, we only see Sam at the races, so not ideal timing, but it kind of worked. And then he said, "Yeah, I feel like I'm riding good. I've lost a lot of fitness because he hasn't been able to like do any serious training since he got sick because he was trying to recover and get healthy again." So after that, we had another bit of a break before the two European rounds in Italy and France, and they were both big mountain races with some long stages, really physical and challenging tracks, which Sam normally does really well on. And we had a new prototype 2021 bike with different geometry. So again, we had a few things that were improved on the bike that he liked, and then a few other things he had to get used to because the bike's a slightly different size. So again, not ideal preparation for trying to win a world title, but it's just kind of how this year's gone. With timing on equipment and bikes being available, and and one thing after another. But the bikes are always great. It's just for racing and winning world titles, with riders like Sam, you have to get things properly dialed in and then feeling comfortable on them. So Italy went well. He got second place there. He rode great there and got an amazing finish there. So he was moving up the rankings.
And was that a really buoyant time then for the whole of the team when Sam was back on the podium?
Yeah, I mean it's great when Sam's doing well and winning. It gives the whole team a a boost, and it's just great. Obviously, the other two lads are chipping away. Elliot hasn't had didn't have the best start to the season either. Him and Keelan were out in New Zealand, and he kind of tweaked his ankle pretty bad before the first race, so he was struggling at the first couple of races. Plus, on top of that, it was his first season in elite after winning the under 21 world title. So I think Elliot was, really pushing hard, maybe trying a bit too hard and not quite figuring out, the pace to ride at consistently. So he kept crashing and making little mistakes. And as I say, his ankle wasn't great at the first two, but throughout the year, Elliot's improved, and he's had a few really good stage results that have given him, a few top 10 stage results and top 15 stage results that have, sort of given him the confidence that he can do that. He's just got to try and, put all that together so that he's consistently getting those results because he's more than capable of.
Yeah. Do you think Elliot put extra pressure on himself this year because he moved up?
I'm not sure he put more pressure on himself. I think Elliot always wants to. He's so competitive. He wants to win anyway.
Hmm.
So I think maybe just obviously he had some really good results last year in time wise in junior. In under 21s. But when you're winning, no matter what category you're in, you're more confident.
Hmm.
So even though like he was battling for the under 21 title, he's still comparing his times with the elites and doing really well in a few races. So he knows he's got the capability. But then when you're racing in a category and you're not winning week in week out or not on the podium, that does sort of put you on a bit of a downer, even
Yeah.
though you might be fit and as fast as ever. You're just not quite, you haven't got that buzz that you get from winning and that confidence you get from winning. So I think that's been something he's had to deal with this year, and he's pretty much just figuring out. But we decided to go to a few other races just recently with Elliot. He's such a good all-round bike rider, and we
Yeah.
went
Yeah.
to Four Cross Worlds, and he got a silver medal there, which was amazing. And then we did some of the Crankworks events, and he did really well in those as well in slalom. Even whip off and race the A-line race, stuff that Elliot just enjoys to do. And I think that really helped and boosted his confidence a bit more. And then the last EWS in North Star, he got his best elite result. I don't think he's riding any differently. He's just coming together, and he was having fun, and that's when things seem to happen and get the best results when you're enjoying it and having a good time on your bike.
Yeah, he must be one of the best all-round mountain bikers on the scene at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. If I had the chance opportunity, I'd love to go with Elliot and let him have a shot at like the King of Crankworks and stuff. But that's something we'll have to look at in the future. Obviously, the main focus this year is the EWS, and and that's Sam's main focus. He's super driven towards that, and he's going back to Sam. He's got all the way up to second place now, and within a shot of the title again, which at the start of the year wasn't looking like it was going to be on the cards. So obviously between after the Italian race where he got second, we then went to France, and the tracks looked really good and favourable for Sam once again. And he'd had a week on the new bike, so normally the second week you get more confident and more accustomed to it. But unfortunately, we had just a bad luck weekend, and it seemed that no matter how hard Sam was trying this season, just little things were going wrong for him, whether it's getting sick or crashing or whatever. And the first stage, he ended up getting a flat tire, and it was a really weird situation at that race. Normally, if you get if you get a puncture, you're able to fix it, go a bit harder on the next transition to get there in time, especially for the elite guys who, they're fit enough to get to the stages with, 5 to 10 minutes spare. But unfortunately, this stage, a lot of these stages were chairlift access. So basically, you had to finish the stage, rush back to the pit, which was allowed, to change, to get the tyre back on, inflated, rush off to get on the chairlift. And there was a big chairlift all the way to the top of the mountain. And then there was about a 4-minute sort of pedal to the start of the stage. And because of the puncture, Sam ended up getting to the start of the stage after sprinting off the lift all the way to the start, 40 seconds late. So he had to then drop in after sprinting for 3 or 4 minutes and do the stage, where he still managed to somehow come top 10, but then ended up with a time penalty, which dropped him down a lot in the rankings. So to a lot of people, that would have just ruined the weekend big time, because he was way down in the times and no chance of winning the event, which would mess with people's focus and drive a lot. But not Sam. The second day, where he must have been really frustrated and disappointed, he managed to, I don't think he was outside the top 3 all in every stage the next day, and clawed his way all the way back up to 12th place overall, even with his time penalty and coming 110th or 15th or whatever he did on the first stage with the puncher. So
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's the difference between Sam and some other riders. I've seen some really top riders over the last few years doing enduro who can win races, but when it's not their day, they kind of just fall to pieces and they're nowhere. So they can go from winning to nowhere, and I think that's the difference with Sam. He's so determined and doesn't give up. So
did you raise that issue with the EWS organisers, or did you just take it on the chin and move on?
No, I went and saw them and had a meeting with them for about half an hour with actually the UCI commissaire, because now it's UCI, and she understood the kind of difficulties we have there, because if it hadn't have been a chairlift, the chairlift for that stage, Sam wouldn't have. He would have made his stage time, because it was just a short time to get there because of the lift. He unfortunately missed the start time, because you can't rush. The lift actually stopped twice as well on his way up, so even if the lift hadn't stopped, he'd probably made it. But we argued the case, and they said that they couldn't get rid of the time penalty. They didn't give him a full big time penalty. They kind of halved it, but still, at that level of racing, you're still going to be fairly far down the rankings. I think we kind of worked out if he'd have got like a similar position than he was in the other stages, which I think at least he would have done because the first stage really suited Sam. He would have probably been, he would have been top three or even in with a shout of winning that race.
Yeah. But
So
he took it on the chin, and it was on to the next race.
yeah, and he moved on to the next one, and then we then went on to the last two rounds we've done Whistler and North Star in North America,
Hmm.
and again, a little bit of bad luck. First, there was one stage for the top of the world, which was the biggest stage of the Whistler event, which is a trail that people can ride all the time if you go to Whistler a lot or you live there.
Yeah.
So it's always going to favour people that spend a lot of time in Whistler and the some more local riders. And then Richie Rood come down, who's been there for about 2 weeks, put in a ridiculously fast time, and then his teammate was second. Obviously, that's kind of showed that them boys knew that track pretty well. Richie was going to be fast anyway, but he put in an outstanding time.
Yeah.
And then it started raining for the last 10 riders, which Sam was third off from last. So again, just a little bit of bad luck. All the top section got slippy on the rocks, which caused a few mistakes, and then having to slow the pace down a little bit. Not being able to see as well with the vision on your goggles and that kind of thing. Sam ended up, I think, fifth on that stage, but a long way down from Richie. But he was the fastest person out of the top 10. Again, so on the pace, but just little bits of bad luck. And then after that, he really knuckled down the next day and smashed all the stages. Won a couple of stages, put in really good times on some stages that we thought were going to be difficult for him, with a lot of flat uphill sort of rocky stuff, which isn't great on flat pedals, and one stage with a huge minute and a half fire road sprint. And he ended up second at that race again, so really good for points, really good for beat both Eddie Masters and Florian Nicolai, who were in front of him in the points race. And so, closing the gap on the overall again. And then the next week from there, we went over to North Star, and that was a crazy place. It was basically super dusty, rocky, gnarly downhill tracks for some of the stages, and mixed in with some bike park stuff, and one track linking up with another track with a bit of pedaling and in between to make the longer stages. And Sam, from first day of practice, just looked the most comfortable person on the mountain riding in those conditions. He just, it was terrifying. Even some of the top riders were struggling and were pretty scared of some sections, and Sam was just riding it easy and made it look easy, which it definitely wasn't. And especially with the altitude there and the heat and the dust, it was probably one of the most challenging races I've ever been to. And also Elliot was riding amazing there as well. Elliot, when it's really difficult, Elliot comes into his own as well. So that was a really good race, and Sam was so focused to try and win that race. And
When Sam comes off practice or the race itself, or in a race like North Star, where you're saying is so incredibly difficult to ride, does he show that as well, or does he just it's just another race to him?
No, I think when it's really difficult like that, and he knows that, he's probably one of the best riders technically. I think that helps his confidence. He knows that certain people may struggle a bit more in those conditions. Some people won't.
Hmm.
When you're trying to win overall world title on so many different continents with different terrain, then do really well on quite as good on others. And also, handling the pressure coming towards the end of the season. If you lead in the event, leading the series, then Sam sort of knows or believes who he thinks will handle pressure better than other people. And anyway, that race he was focused to win, and as it turned out, Richie Rude, who's riding great, he was riding super fast as well. He won the first stage, which had a fair bit of pedalling in, so nobody was um, surprised with that. And Martin Mays was up there because he was back racing from his 3-month ban he received.
Mm-hmm.
So Eddie was riding well as usual, but Sam was third on that first stage, which gave us all a lot of confidence that he was going to be definitely with a shout, because the next stages were going to suit him more. And yeah, he ended up winning some stages all the way through to going into the final stage. It was so tight between him and Richie Rude. He had a 0.1 of the second lead over Richie, and Sam pushed really hard on the last stage, and he actually did make a couple of little mistakes. But there was a few sprinting, pedaling sections, and Richie ended up winning the whole race by 0.8 of a second. It was ridiculous. But fair play to Richie, but also Sam did amazing. Florian Nicolai, who's leading the series, was down in 13th at that race. So Sam gained, and unfortunately Eddie crashed on one of the stages and broke his wrist. So Sam was closing the gap on both Eddie and Florian, and then obviously Eddie ends up being out of the hunt for the title, and Sam's got to within 60 points of Florian now, going into the final race. So it's pretty much all on. But obviously, it's it's um, it's kind of down to Sam to do as best as he can. Even if he wins the race, then Florian needs to be in a certain place also, which is kind of out of Sam's hands. But yeah, fingers crossed. We'll have to wait and see, because at the start of the year, when things were going, I thought getting 3 titles in a row was maybe not going to be achievable.
Yeah.
And but with Sam, he never gives in, and he's always charging. And now it's pretty amazing that he's in with a chance of that. I don't think anyone's won 3 EWS titles before, never mind back to back. So yeah, fingers crossed for next week.
So between the sickness, time penalties, bad luck with the weather, and then the extra pressure on his shoulders, what do you think? Are you surprised that he's in such a healthy place to win another EWS on the trot?
Yes and no. Yes, if you're thinking about it just being a normal person and racer, which he is, and then no, because I've got to know Sam and realise how talented he is,
Mm-hmm.
and how focused, determined he is, and he is definitely a one-off athlete. So yes and no is
Yeah,
the answer
he
to
is
that one.
just an incredible rider, and I've been lucky
Yeah,
to be trackside. Actually, we were trackside together in America, and
yeah,
our jaws would just drop in when they some of the stuff he was doing.
yeah. He's ridiculous. I think my opinion is, yeah, he's got to be the most gifted uh, gravity mountain biker that's ever been, I think. And yeah, and that doesn't come from being a naturally big, strong guy, a naturally superhumanly fit guy,
Hmm.
just pure bike riding skills. I think he's the best in the world. And if you go back and look at some of the footage of when he was dominating the downhill World Cup, when he was a lot younger. Some of the footage of that, I don't think anyone's going any faster or doing any gnarlier stuff than he did back then.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, no, he's definitely a special rider, and to have 5 downhill world championship titles and potentially 3 enduro world titles. Both at times where the sports were super established and competitive. It's pretty mental, really.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And then obviously got to say, I think Keelan's really stepped it up this year. Keelan's not quite had the result. He's not quite had the results he's aiming for. He wants to be inside that top 30 at EWS, and he's basically the one person, the first person outside the top 30. And I know he's really striving to get there, and I think he's done really well to get to the position he is. I mean, I think it's pretty tough to have two amazing teammates. Especially with won world titles the previous year, that must put a bit of pressure on you to,
Yeah.
try and emulate that. But yeah, I'm really impressed with how Keelan's done this year. Again, he's had a few things that hasn't gone well for him, and he's had some good stage results that's given him confidence too. And yeah, he keeps plugging away, and I think he's gonna, get there into that top 30 really soon, hopefully. And he's just a great asset to the whole team. He's a really cool guy to be around. He's fun. He helps out a lot with the team, which is a big thing. And yeah, all three of them are really good. Seem to get on well together and gel together, and yeah, the team's really good.
Yeah, I think you can tell that from the pictures either on the team riders' social media or the ride edits. You can definitely tell that it's a proper unit now, and everyone's getting along really well.
Yeah, it's great. It's not easy to um, spend so much time with people in closed areas, and when there's pressure on everybody as well. But yeah, they're three really good guys, and yeah, I'm made up with them.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows I've had quite a lot of uh, top riders in the EWS have contacted me over the last few weeks, wanting to ride for the team. So, that's nice. Obviously, unfortunately, I don't have any openings, but it's nice to get those and hear the nice comments that some of the other top riders have said about our team. And obviously, it must show on the outside that our team it looks good and looks something that a lot of people seem to want to be a part of. So that's nice, also.
Yeah, that's really cool. So on to Zermatt now, Nigel. I guess all I can say now is good luck.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We're going to pack up the small van this afternoon now. Carl's just arrived, or the mechanic. He's going to drive the van out with Elliot tomorrow morning, and then I'm flying to Geneva on Monday to meet. I'm meeting Keelan at the airport, and then we're going to Mavic to pick up the Sprinter where I've left that. And then we're driving and meeting the guys in Zermatt on Monday evening, and then it'll all be go, and there'll be a lot of pressure next week. But we'll try and make it as fun as possible and keep the pressure down. And yeah, whatever it'll be. But yeah, I'm hoping Sam can clinch his third world title. But we'll have to wait and see.
Awesome. Thanks, Nigel.
No problem.
Good luck and all the best.
Okay, thanks,
Speak
Matt.
speak to you next week.
Okay, cheers now.
All right,
See you.
Nigel. Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.